So welcome everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Are you melting?
Oh yeah.
I spent a week where there's no humidity. I highly recommend it. It was awesome. 97 degrees in the shade is it's like 65. It was cool enough to get in the hot tub. I was great. It's crazy. So I have a lot to get through and a lot to ask of you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started while Stacy and Dwayne find seats. Who else needs to find a seat? I have 3 seats over here, 3 seats back there, there's 2 over there, there's 1 in the front row, there's some over here, so come on in and fill in the seats. We don't want to cram any more seats in here. Somebody might scoot over and let Stacy sit next to Dwayne so she doesn't have to sit behind the post. Spread the seats out so you don't have to sit behind the post, it's fine. Unfortunately, we don't like the post. So I have some questions here. Who's my mic runner tonight? Kyle. Kyle's my mic runner, so if we need to have you talk on the mic, I'm going to give you a lesson. Kyle might be good and hold the mic right where it needs to be so that we can hear you, but if you steal the mic from Kyle or from me, you need to get it in front of your mouth. If you put the mic down here, we can't hear it, okay?
It doesn't work like this. It works like this.
Okay, so we got our mic lesson. I've got a few sponsors I want to recognize, and why do we want to recognize the sponsors? Well, number 1, they help pay for this room, and number 2, they are the best resource out there for helping you figure out how to do your deals. If you need to learn how to rehab a house or find help on rehabbing a house, our building suppliers and contractors are out there. If you need funding and how to put a deal together, how to walk a house, our lenders are out there. So first up, we have Mark Yonda, the cabinet guy with DeMaio Enterprises. Where are my fans of Mark? Woo. All right. Then we have Rob Fishman with JM Real Estate Capital. You need to talk to Rob. He does all kinds of lending, not just hard money. Everybody just thinks Rob's the hard money guy, but he has DSCR, he has ground up construction, he does unsecured lines of credit, and you never know. You get something weird, call Rob. He might be able to help you or tell you how you can get it funded. The second lender I have to talk about tonight is with Crossroads, and they have a whole team of guys, and I'm not sure who's here tonight. They have Dixon Flip Funding, they have DSCR loans, and what I highly recommend Crossroads for is they are local and they invest locally. So if you have a question about a deal in Kansas City, they can walk you through it. They can help you with the numbers. Right next to Crossroads is Ken's. They are out of the same office, by the way. They're owned by the same people. Ken's does plumbing and I'm losing my mind. Plumbing, heating, AC. But if you need, what I've been reading about is their service contracts. So for a monthly fee, they do basic service contracts on your rentals. So I would talk to them about that. And Andrew and Philip, I did not see. There we are. They made it.
I made it. Philip failed.
Andrew made it. So Andrew and Philip with stewardship renovations are new to us as contractors. But you might know them as the Serios Brothers on YouTube, or you might have had your post moderated on Bigger Pockets by Andrew, because they own a lot of rental property here in Kansas City. Andrew and Philip have taught a lot of rental classes for us. And rather than going out and buying more rental properties to keep their contractors busy, they've decided to work on your properties. So they have years of experience. Talk to them if you need help for make-readies or whole house rehabs, right?
Yep.
All right. Cleaning maids in and out. Their forte is cleaning your Airbnbs, but they clean your properties. You need a make-ready. You need a trash out. You need your own home cleaned. You need a commercial office cleaned. They do it all. Just give them a call. And I have seen them trying to take care of a customer that needed cleaning last minute, and I've pretty much seen that they get it taken care of. And last up, our longest running business member at MAREI, Beth Langston with Flat Branch Mortgage. The very first time we ever did a workshop at MAREI, Beth and I did it together, and we were teaching people about funding their deals, lease option, getting their clients financed. And that's what she still does. She can help you get your properties and your portfolios financed into long-term mortgages. She can also help you get your tenants or your buyers qualified to buy a house. So those are our sponsors. And I'm going to get a drink because I'm very warm. Because it's warm in here, right?
It is.
All that humidity I didn't have in Colorado, it came back to this room. All right. So helping hands. Who has a helping hand tonight? Anybody? Helping hands? I should see everybody's hand go up. One of the reasons I come to this meeting is so that I can help you guys, but I also come to this meeting and get help. And I have never seen anybody in here that hasn't been willing to help. And I'm going back to the Wayback Machine. Way back when I had a guy that helped me check people in. He helped investors. He was a new investor at the time. I saw he was coming tonight and I was going to put him on the spot. I actually saw this on National MAREI's website this afternoon. You made it on the news for taxes or something, John. But I wanted to ask John Welcher, as a longtime investor, a tip he would have in 1 minute or so for the new investors in the room. John is a realtor, by the way, so if you need a realtor, talk to John. He can help you buy
Well,
some
if you want to
deals.
invest in property, you are definitely in the right place. Everything you need to know and learn is right here. She's put together this fantastic program. I've been a member of MAREI for over 20 years. I've been an investor for over 40. I've done a little bit of everything: apartment buildings, duplexes, single family, foreclosures at the courthouse, buy and flip. I've done it all. My key to you is you don't really need to go look at the property till you figured out the financing. What's the cash flow? What's the cash on cash return? You got to get that bottom number. Ideally, you kind of, if you're in the rental business, so to speak, how much is the property you're going to rent for? You take that number and you work it backwards to the point to where, okay, now I got this number, I can use that to pay the mortgage. You got to know financing. That's the key concept. You got to know what's your cash flow, cap rate, gross rent, operating expenses, vacancy, maintenance. You got to know all that.
So for those of us that don't know what those terms are, who in this room could help people figure out what those terms are? Who knows all these numbers? I see Eric's hand. Keep your hands up, guys. So Eric can help, Des can help, John can help with those numbers. I can't see your name back there. Mike can help. John can help. Phil can help wherever Phil is. Jane can help.
Brian, look, Michelle.
Oh yeah, and Brandon has a book.
Brian, Michelle.
But Brian and Michelle, I can't see Brian and Michelle, they're behind the post. And Michelle over here. So we have a room full of experienced investors. I would say in this room right now, there's probably $20 or $30 million worth of property or more owners sitting in this room right now. And I'm going to say, since Andrew is in the room, we have what? I don't know, 20,000 doors in this room? No, maybe not that many. I would say we probably have about 10,000 doors in this room right now.
I got one more simple rule for you. Before making an offer, you need to ask yourself, if things go worse than expected, can I comfortably afford to own this property? If the answer is no, the deal is probably too aggressive. Make sure you get your numbers straight first.
And I have the converse of that. When you're making an offer and the realtor says, make it your highest and best, make it your highest and best, so if you don't get it, you're not shooting yourself because you could have offered $1,000 more. All right, we're going to keep going. And I have a question here. I always say when you come to the MAREI meeting, come with a question that you need an answer for. You need, how do I do this? Or I need a referral for that. Or I need somebody that can help me with this. So who came to the meeting tonight with a question that they needed an answer to? And Brandon, you might know some people because I know you talk to people. So did anybody say they had a question that they're afraid to ask? No? Nobody had a question they wanted answered tonight. How to do something?
How do you find properties? Like, how do you find deals?
How do you find deals? So how do we find deals? Steve, how do you find deals?
Sometimes I look in the MLS and I set my search parameters to 90 days plus. So I find those people that are getting near the end of their listing and getting tired of having it on the market.
Okay. Anybody else do something else to find deals?
On the MLS, I look for as is or needs repairs, TLC.
You're looking in the remarks to see words that indicate motivation. Where else do you look for properties?
You can drive for deals as you're driving around. Look for those houses that the grass is too tall. In the winter, if it snows and it's 3 days later and the driveway has no tire marks and not been scooped, that's a sign that might be a vacant house that somebody wants to get rid of.
All right. Gene, how do you find houses? Tell us how you find houses, really.
They find them.
Describe it.
They find me.
They find you. So what does Gene do?
The signs on my truck, the sign in my yard, that's pretty much it.
And how many meetings a month do you go
A
to?
lot. Well, just two. I go to Winvestors every week, and then I come to this one once a month. That's about all I do anymore. Occasionally I'll go to the Tuesday meeting with Ron and Bob's meeting.
So if you're driving down 75th Street and see a big black truck that says, Gene buy house right here. And his shirt has his
Sam,
name
I
on
got
it.
3 ways.
All right.
Do what Gene does, which is go to every meeting you can and be present all the time. Because you can't go once, you gotta keep going over and over again. Number 2 is tell everybody you know that you're looking. Tell your kids' soccer coach, tell the people you work with, tell the people you hang out with at night, say, I'm looking for houses. Because somebody in your circle knows somebody that's selling a house, and it's a piece of crap full of stuff. Okay, so do that. And what's my third one? Oh, back in the olden days, you used to see these things called for rent signs. Okay, the good thing about for rent signs is you know that that's owned by who?
Landlord.
The landlord. You know what? Lots of landlords get tired. Okay, so you call the for rent sign. You say, hey, I'm not looking to rent, but how's it going there? And they say, I have to rent this thing again. They tore it apart. I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Oh, well, there you go. Now you can do that too.
So I have a tip. Stacy's got one.
The last one we found was a for sale by owner on Zillow in Texas.
For sale by owner, Zillow. And is Zillow still putting for sale by owner somewhere else, not the same place as realtors on Zillow? They did that for like a month.
We found it on there.
You have to filter it.
Yeah, so I think on Zillow you have to search in some areas for sale by owner are separated from realtors. So be sure you're aware of that and make sure you're looking for that on Zillow.
And I think they're all in one place now under filters, but they don't start out as selected. The other ones start out as
Because I know I was looking in Colorado and I was getting for sale by owners in my thing, but it was weird. I couldn't. But I had one more tip for you on this, and then we'll move on. I had somebody posted, and they were all upset they were a realtor trying to say, well, you need to hire a realtor because this person had a house for sale by owner. And the man answered the phone, and she called on a sign that said, my house is for sale by owner. And she called, and the man answered and said, we have a sign in the yard. I don't know anything about that. Well, your house is for sale. I'm calling to find out about it. And the man's like, I don't know anything about our house being for sale. Maybe you need to talk to my wife. And he hung up the phone. And she was like, well, the man just doesn't know how to sell his house for sale by owner. If you talk to that man, ask to speak to his wife, because I'm going to say that man probably has Alzheimer's. I've had family members that I've seen answer the phone just like that. I don't know anything about that. Thank you. Goodbye. So call back and ask to talk to the other spouse. Will solve you some problems. That came up today on Facebook. Okay, what's your superpower? Who has a superpower here tonight that they could share to help somebody else in the room besides Eric and his superpower? Eric's superpower is to go to homeowners association meetings in the landlord grouping areas and buying all the houses from the tired landlords in the homeowners association. So that's his superpower, one of them. But who else has a superpower here? Jane, I think you have a superpower. What is your superpower? What can you do to help other people? you have knowledge about. You answer a lot of my questions on Facebook, so.
Oh, that's interesting. Probably just trust your numbers, end up getting emotional with your purchase.
Not that you're a bookkeeper, but you can help us, point us in the right direction.
I can't. I worked in accounting for 20 years.
She's always answering my questions when I have a bookkeeping question. Who else here has a superpower? Bob has a superpower.
And so does Bob.
We got 2 Bobs and 2 superpowers, and I'm too close to this.
So, I'm Bob Bankley, I'm a CPA, and this is Bob Coleman, he's also a tax professional.
Talk into the microphone, we can't hear you.
Our superpowers is being able to prepare taxes for real estate investors and real estate professionals. Bookkeeping. And bookkeeping. Tax advice. Tax advice. Look for tax savings. Segregation. That's more your special of mine.
Okay.
We help you with all that, everything that's tax related.
All right, any other superpowers? I know Stacy has a superpower. Stacy's superpower, and she won't tell us. Stacy's superpower is getting people to do what she wants them to do, whether they want to do it or not.
That's not true. But the only thing that the superpower, the thing that I would suggest people do is make sure before you buy a property is that you look for the laws in the jurisdiction you're going to buy. Look in the city, the state, because you can buy something that sounds good on paper, then you can find out when a certain law is in place that you just lose everything. So you have to factor the legislation, the regulatory environment into your acquisition. And then today, while you're doing business, make sure you know what the laws are in the city and the state that you're operating in, because it can put you out of business.
All right, Catherine has a superpower.
Hi guys, I'm Catherine Oliveira, and if you're ever in need of any listing photography, drone photography, or videography of a property that maybe you just can't get rid of, or maybe that you're looking to rent out to a tenant, that is something that I can help with.
And I think Michael has a superpower. Michael O'Driscoll back there has a superpower. He also has we have several people in here that have replays in the library, so you need to look for them. But Michael, what's your superpower?
I don't know, you put me on the spot here.
I think your superpower might be able to rent every room in the house individually.
Yeah, we do a thing called co-living, buzzword now, but we rent by the bedroom, take some single families or multifamily, and try to 3x your revenue compared to usually a home or long-term rental.
All right, well those are all of our superpowers tonight. We're going to keep trying this every month till I get everybody to volunteer, and I don't have to put you on the spot, so that you can bring your haves and your wants, or your deal, or your offering, so we can share and help each other and get to know what we do. So I promised everybody some important announcements, right? Important announcements? Okay, the first important announcement, you're not allowed to bitch, moan, or groan. I'm just going to give you the announcement. And then you'll have to come to the class to learn more or read in the newsletter. There's some information in the newsletter. And that is the wholesale license law in the state of Missouri. Anybody in here wholesale houses? We have a few people. The wholesale license law passed, and we hoped it would not be signed, not because we were against the law totally, but because the law is not quite what we want it to be. But the governor signed it anyway, and it goes into effect on Friday. So if you are writing contracts that you are going to assign or novate, you can't do that for 14 days. There's an article in the newsletter and on the MAREI blog. You have a 14-day window where you have to disclose the fact that you're buying the house to sell it and assign it. You need to make that a separate document, separate disclosure, certain size font, all this big stuff. Doesn't have to be a fancy form, it just needs to be in a big enough font and say certain things. You need to read the article. It needs to be a separate document. If you don't make this disclosure 14 days in advance, you go in and say, sign this disclosure, and I'll come back and write a contract to buy your house in 14 days. If you don't do that, and they find out and complain and whine, they get to keep your earnest money and not sell you the house, if they don't want to. If you're assigning it to yourself, that's okay. So like, I'm buying it in one of my companies, and I'm like, you know, I really don't want it in my company A, I want it in company B. I can assign it almost to myself. I just can't assign it to Aaron without disclosure. Double closes so far seem to be okay, at least that's my read. Your read too, Michelle? Michelle's our unofficial legal person with no law degree at all. There's also stuff about sale leasebacks and tax delinquencies. So make sure you can scan the code, find this article in the newsletter, scan the code, and we have a meeting coming up. We do not. Mark Dillator, the champion of this article, of this law, is holding an informational meeting on the 26th. I've been trying to get Julie booked to speak, and I found out why. She was already working with Mark. So we're going to partner with Mark so we can hear what Julie has to say and how it's all going to work. I would say if you're a wholesaler and you're very interested, John Patterson is one of the guys in the House of Representatives. He's running for Senate, and he has plans to make more changes next year. So I would come to that if you want to learn more. So how many people think it's hot in here? All right, next month we won't have that problem unless the air conditioner's out at the Holiday Inn, because I had 4 thermostats at the Holiday Inn, and I had 4 air conditioners, and I can turn them all down. And next month we will be at the Holiday Inn, 87th, where we used to meet. And we're going to be in the main ballroom, but you truck right on in, and you see the front doors to the main ballroom. Don't use those. Take a right, go down the hall past the pool, take a left, and come in the back door. That's how we're going to be like we were before we came here. And we have a much bigger space, so that's where we will be next month. So not here, Holiday Inn, 87th I-35 69 Highway. How many people have not yet joined this evening? We got a few. I'm going to highly recommend you join. If you don't know why, talk to the member sitting next to you. They can tell you why they're a member. But the best reason is if you join tonight, we can give you the library on a jump drive. If you join tomorrow, you'll just have to go online and get it and access it. And it's so much easier when it's on the jump drive. And there's a ton of information on there. There's Michael's meeting on co-living. There's 2 meetings from Eric on how to get rich in real estate. There's several meetings from Brendan on how to get started and how to be a landlord. Who else in here has spoken on there? I don't know. I think that's all we've got in the room right now. There's several training classes from Andrew on there as well, and quite a bit more. So what do we got coming up? Everybody got one of these? This is this month's calendar, and the 2 things on there I want to point out are on the 22nd. David Marimi is giving us a hands-on workshop showing you how to set up AI within his REI Black Book marketing system. It's a totally free class unless you want to upgrade for 30 days to have a live working REI Black Book. So during the class, you're setting up your AI right then and there. That's ready to go and you can keep using it. Or if you change your mind, well, you just spend a day and I don't know what a month's worth of REI Black Book is. And then the next class we have is from tonight's speaker. He is coming back on the 29th. Coming back to Kansas City, we're going to meet at the Keller Williams at, what is it, College in Metcalf? Something like that. We have 50 seats, and if you like what you learned tonight and you want to dig in deeper, that's the class to do it. And the sign-up form's on the back. You can sign up with a QR code. You can go online. If you're not techie and you just want to write your name and information down and hand it to somebody, we've got a form for that as well. All right, I got 4 minutes. All right, we're ready to get started. I got a disclaimer because we got to do that. This presentation is for educational purposes only. The information provided here is not intended as specific legal, tax, or financial advice. We don't endorse any particular strategies or opinions, and we highly encourage you to get your own legal, tax, financial, and from professionals like Merrill, before making your own decisions based on the information provided. So first up, Michelle. Michelle number one, Michelle Herman. She came to me in, I think it was May, and she goes, Kim, I got an idea for a speaker. You need to have this person come speak. I'm like, who is it? And she goes, Merrill Chandler. You need to have him come speak. And I'm like, I was just on a meeting with other RIA groups, and they're like, oh, we just had Merrill speak. He was great. So I wanted to ask Michelle, in front of everybody, why we all need to learn something from Merrill tonight. And I'm going to ask you to come up, because if I bring you the mic, nobody's going to be able to hear you. Not to make you come to the front, but you're too close to the speaker.
So, I thought I knew a lot about personal credit, building my credit score, all of that, just from all the free stuff that I got on YouTube, and then listened to Merrill talk about it and became a student of his, and I was blown away by how wrong all of that stuff was. And he will tell you, it's really hard to get away from this, but having an 800 credit score is still like, it's a cha-ching, but it's not as important as it sounds, and he can explain all of that, why it's not. But just becoming a student of his has just really opened my eyes to all of the possibilities and increased my funding capability as a business for funding anything else that I have going on. And then also the Tuesday and Thursday classes that, the phone calls that we get to participate in as students. It's just phenomenal, because it's him sharing his expansive knowledge of all what goes on in the background with FICO and with lenders and banks and on and on. And then you have all these people asking these questions, and it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that situation. I could do that. And just being
learning from the other students' questions.
Yeah, and him sharing about how to navigate going through this situation or utilizing it. It's really good.
And I also can say I went through a 2-day training class, and I believe it was during COVID. It was sponsored by Michelle Winbury. And I had the same experience she did. I went to the Tuesday class last week, and people were asking questions, and I'm like, never thought of that. That sounds cool. I'll have to figure that one out. But I learned a ton too. But Merrill's also speaking tomorrow, and I know that Winvestors is moving around a lot, so I'm going to have Michelle tell us where Winvestors meets tomorrow. For those that want to join.
So since Waldo Cafe closed its doors, we moved to Pega's Family Restaurant at 11005 Johnson Drive. That's at Johnson and Neiman. And we will be there until Pega's, who bought the Waldo Cafe, finishes the renovations in September, and then we'll move back. But right now we're at Johnson and Neiman Drive.
What time?
8:30, and we start the Zoom meeting at 9:30. So we do a full hour of networking and breakfast and questions and all of that, and then we do a Zoom meeting from 9:30 till 11.
And you have to be a member of their Facebook group to get in on the Zoom meeting. So if you're not a member of their Facebook group, you better see that before they leave tonight. All right. So, just what does Merrill do, and where did he come from? So I asked Claude, because I don't like ChatGPT no more. Chat and I broke up. So Claude tells me that he was a co-founder of Lexington Law. Has anybody heard of that online? I resource that quite a bit when I want to know how to be an attorney without being an attorney. He was one of the founders of CreditSense, and I'm looking at CreditSense all the time looking for stuff. He founded Get Fundable, which is what the classes are coming from. And I also understand that he sat down with the people over at FICO and got a brain dump from them, so he actually understands what none of us really get. So there's like stupid little things that you might be doing that you shouldn't be. I had one guy that, I don't know it was you, he was like, you really should not be going and buying alcohol at the grocery store, you should buy birdseed, that makes your credit score go up. I'm like, okay. Weird things like that. All right, so we're going to ask Merrill to come up and do an hour brain dump tonight. He flew in from Salt Lake City, and boy, are his arms tired. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Welcome, everybody. I am thrilled to be here. Kim Tucker, come on. She got an awesome group and knows
Gotta make sure we're on.
And how's that? All right, very good. Okay, well, I don't need to say much because she's already covered a lot of it. We're going to cover tonight exactly, well, let me just start out here. What if I could share with you tonight how to get 6 figures, now how big the 6 figures are up to you, but 6 figures of business lines of credit. And we're talking about, when I mention business lines of credit, what do you guys see in your minds of business line of credit? What do you think of when you hear a business line of credit? Do you think of a credit card? No. Do you think of a MCA loan, like a merchant cash advance loan? Do you think of, when you hear a credit line, do you think of MCA? No, we think of a bank credit line where we walk in and they give us a low cost credit line. How about a prime plus 1% credit line? So what we're going to be talking about tonight, some of you either may not believe that they exist, is that unicorn in the wild. And so one of the things that we're going to cover is how you can acquire these very credit lines. Prime plus 1%, unsecured, stated income. All right, so how many of your BS meters are going off right now? Anybody? Come on. Anybody's BS meters going up there? So I've got to either put up or shut up, right? Because that seems unbelievable. Well, one of my favorite philosophers, he was technically a psychiatrist, but one of my favorite philosophers was Carl Jung. And he said, until we make the unconscious conscious, it'll direct our lives and we will call it fate. Meaning that we're programmed to believe certain things based on our experience in our life, what we experience our parents doing, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, right?
Right.
And so if we are programmed, then we don't even know how limited we are. In fact, are you limited in your growth because of beliefs you have about unsecured, stated income, business lines of credit, 6 figures? If you don't think it's possible, are you going to even try? Probably not, right? So, what we're going to, my goal tonight is to show you not only that it's possible, but there's a process, a very simple process, meticulous, and we'll understand why before the evening's over, meticulous process, but there is a simple 5 steps. So first of all, I've actually acquired $2.4 million in change in these very business loans and lines of credit. Before I stepped out, I'm my own crash test dummy. Before I stepped out and started trying to teach this, I needed the money for myself to build my business, right? And as you guys get to know me better and you experience the different parts of my business, you're gonna see amazing technology, software, etc., that drives the very approvals that we're talking about, okay? But I had to invest in the very things, just like you invest in properties, I have to invest in infrastructure, technology, to be able to get to you the things that would make a difference in your funding lives, right? So, my team and I have helped our community get over $300 million in top-tier bank approvals. $300 million. And in the last 12 months, east of the Mississippi, we have $1.5 million in, and you guys just cut the swath right there. So I don't know about the Kansas City side, but the Missouri side, they're getting funded like that. I'm just kidding. So, 1.5 million in these fundings east of the Mississippi, okay? So how do we do it? Well, how many of you have met an underwriter in the wild? Look around. We have one hand up in this What, there's 70, 80 of us here? None of us have met the unicorn of the lending environment. It's always that person where you speak with a loan, how many of you met a loan officer? Yeah, boring as hell, right? So we get with a loan officer, and what do every one of them do? Let me talk to underwriting. And they go behind that door, right, where all the other mythical creatures live. And then all of a sudden they come back out and say, you know what? We can do this if we get a income verification. And they're like, and you're like, why didn't you ask me 30 days ago? Well, I asked you to tell me everything that I need to get this deal done. Like, I'm sorry, they just need it. This mythical, the unicorn back behind the door needs it. So then they're like, oh, you know what? We're gonna need a second appraisal on this property by a different party. You're like, we're gonna have to choose our appraisals, right? Anybody ever have to do 2 appraisals on a property to get a deal done? So what do? They go behind the door again. So we are subject to the decisions of somebody we have not even met, much less know how they decide. How does it make you feel? I hate being powerless. I hate not knowing the rules of the game. And if we know the rules of the game, can we master it? Can we learn to play the game if we know? Okay, so here's what business lending is: a rugby match. Anybody know the rules of rugby? Right? I won't use the term we used to use in the 70s, but it's just smear the person with the ball. Okay? And so the ultimate play is that we are going up against, we play American football. We line up politely, big guys, but we line up politely, and we all go at the same time. Is that how rugby goes? No, everybody is moving 100% of the time, and it is a free-for-all. Okay, that's what business lending is like in this country. We think it's a polite, certain way, and they're coming at us with everything they've got. Okay? So if we know the rules, we can learn rugby. Let's play the game that's being played. All right? So, well, the reason why I show that is if you could speak with a lender, sit down, let's pretend they're even buying you lunch. If you could sit down at lunch with a lender and they told you exactly all the check boxes that need to be checked, would you do so? Would you? Yeah. Why? Knowledge is power, but implemented knowledge is a superpower, right? We literally get to play with the major leagues if we know how to implement it. Well, one such occasion occurred for me, and Kim alluded to it. At this point, many years ago, 2016, I'm at a business conference, and I'm sitting there with our table of participants and a couple of people we had met in one of the classes. We were just eating our dinner, and a gentleman comes up, sits down at the table, and we're talking about what we do for business. And so, gentleman asks, tell me a little bit more about your business model. I said, well, you know, we help people become fundable. We want them to get approved. You know how, and when you learn who this gentleman is, you will laugh as hard as I did. You know there's an underwriting criteria, and they count points, and if they're just under those points, they get denied. Nobody can get it approved, but they're only 2 or 3 points off. Well, I help them get over the top with those points. It's like, hi, my name is Will Lansing. I am the CEO of FICO, and if you're interested, now I'm kicking my partner under the table. If business credit and funding is Mount Olympus, I am now talking to Zeus. Okay? We're having a sit-down dinner with Zeus. And he says, you know what? If you're interested, I would like to invite you to meet with my personal and business credit platform teams to ask them any question you want. Are you kidding me? I'm getting the cheat codes to the SAT before I go in to take the test. Wow. Right? So, what he says, and he goes, now, I can't give away the secret sauce, but you can ask any yes or no question, and my people will tell you truthfully. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. So we arranged, and we spent 3 days. Now, let me explain a little bit. All of you know what your FICO score is, right? Every one of you. That is the smallest part of their business model. Do you know that FICO provides FICO Falcon, 9,000 banks with the software that they customize to approve or deny you. It is FICO's platform that has all the logic, everything necessary, and then they plug in certain criteria that meet that particular. Some banks are more aggressive, some banks are more conservative, but they plug in the data, but it's into FICO's platform. Everybody with me? This is going to be very important to know why we're talking about 6-figure business lines of credit approvals. So, excuse me, since 2016, for 10 years now, I have visited every single year and asked more and more and more yes or no questions. Maybe some of you have the same philosophy that I do. I believe profoundly that the quality of our questions dictate the quality of our life. Is anybody on board with that? That the smarter the questions you ask, the better the answer, and the more is actionable, right, for us? Well, after 10 years, do you think my yes or no questions got better? Yeah. Do you think I could dial in more and more and more until I got really specific answers? Yeah. Absolutely. So, every year, we go to FICO, and we are the only borrower-facing organization that is invited to FICO World. Because the man himself said, you know what? The first question he asked is, are you credit repair? I'm not credit repair. Because he doesn't want somebody gaming the system. He wants somebody knowing how to take those few extra points and get somebody over the top and approved. Who does that benefit? I mean, besides you. Lenders. When do lenders make money? When they lend. You guys, one of the myths, one of the programmed mythology, one of our big basic programming inhibitors is that there's an adversarial relationship between lenders and borrowers. You got to admit, come on, they're the bad guy. I'm a good person. Why won't they, every time we get a denial, why don't they approve me? I don't understand. I pay my debts. I pay my bills. We don't understand the game, so we don't know how to get approved. But lenders make money when they lend, you guys. That's right. So we have got to get in that flow, that approval flow, right? Okay, so more and more. Oh, by the way, the guy on the far right, David Smith, I'll get to him in a second. Glenn Grossman, FICO Business Originations Group. He said, and I'm going to read this because this is my only flex for the evening. Merrill Chandler knows more about how to use the FICO score than most FICO employees do. FICO provides the analytics and creates a score, but Merrill shows borrowers and business owners how to apply the FICO metrics in their financial lives. Merrill's approach is distinctive and far more impactful than the myriad of credit and funding services and personal financial websites. You know where I got this from? He sent it to me of what he submitted in a report that I didn't know was going on to, guess who? CEO Will Lansing. So, if I have an inside scoop, who else has an inside scoop? You do, right? She just talked to us about, on Tuesdays, I have a free Tuesday class at your 4:30. You can come and ask any question you want about personal or business credit or funding. Free. Because I know when you get comfortable, because we've all heard know, like, and trust, right? Do I know this person? Do I like this person? Do I trust this person? I have clients coming on board 5 years after they met me. Some of you may have already been to one of my presentations years ago. Just come, find your answers. Don't open a business. Don't fill out an application until you talk to me. Perfect example. And we'll get to landmines in a moment. Don't raise your hand. I'm going to ask you a question, but don't raise your hand. I don't want you to be embarrassed. Does anybody in this room, don't raise your hand, does anybody in this room have a Capital One Spark card? Don't raise your hand. Okay? The reason why I ask, I hear the giggles, I'm not going to look at you. The reason why I ask is because a perfect example of what to avoid is that Capital One Spark card is a poser business card. It's an imposter. It says it's a business card, but then reports to your personal credit. All the balance. So you're being a good businesswoman or businessman, and you're like, I got a new business card. And you go make a purchase that you're going to carry during a flip, and that flip is 4 to 6 months, and your personal score tanks because you're carrying high utilization, because it reports to your personal. Are you following me? Yeah. It's an imposter business card. But unless you know it, you don't know it, and they make great offers, right? 5% back on the first 3 months. And if we don't know, then we step on that landmine. I have an ebook. There are 500 myths, misrepresentations from the personal and business credit systems. Over 500. You know what I did during COVID? I bought every single book on Amazon that had to do with personal business credit, personal business funding, bought them all, studied them, and even on my TikTok channel, other places, I actually have it glowing behind me, and I'm pointing just idiocy that's written down by people quoting people, and the first person didn't know what they were talking about. That's why Kim was saying, I was learning things that was countering everything else that was happening out there. I'm not special. I just know the right people. I know the people who are making the rules, who are designing and developing the software that says yes to you or no to you. Okay? So David Smith, 20 years, he is the business funding guy at FICO. He onboards the software to new banks. He onboards the software to new banks. You know what he also does? Kind of on the side. His side hustle is to attend my Tuesday classes and talk to you guys. And he's there probably once a month. So he is my FICO liaison. Whenever I have something going on, I talk to him. He talks to the people at FICO. He arranges Zoom meetings and we talk. Or we coordinate meetings at FICO. Lots of people have said lots of awesome things about what we do. Okay, hashtag the flex is over. But the real question is what does this mean for you? If you have a seat at the table, if you don't know what the check boxes are, you can check those boxes, right? It seems like pretty easy math. So, my promise throughout this evening is that I'm going to show you that there is a simple way to untangle your beliefs about credit and funding. Now, when I say credit, please don't hear credit repair, okay? I don't do credit repair. I may optimize your profile so that it's fundable, but I'm not a credit repair guy, okay? You know why I'm not a credit repair guy anymore? Because that Lexington Credit Repair Law Firm is the largest credit repair law firm in the country. I left there because it didn't make people approval ready for banks. It deleted a few items from the credit but it didn't get you ready for an approval. And that, I didn't want to be a part of something that was kind of a bait and switch, okay? Excuse me.
Mary,
All right, yes.
those waters are yours up there, under the screen.
Oh, these waters. Well, thank you very much. It's not vodka. I did not ask her. This would be an awesome presentation if it was. Okay, I know none of you drink, so I'm the heathen here in the family. All right, so we want to get that straight path to get you approved. That's why I'm introducing to you the 6-figure business credit line approval path. It's very specific, you guys, and there are 5 steps to it. Whatever your financial goal is, you have to be bank ready. You don't want to walk in just as some Joe Schmo or Nancy Schmancy off the street, okay? You want to be prepared to meet their funding criteria. And most of us, all of us, don't know how yet. That's what we're doing tonight. So the problem is, if the lenders don't trust you, what doesn't happen? You don't get the money, you don't get the bag, right? And why don't they trust you? I'm going to give you 5 things. And you can wait to the very end. You can take pictures, but you can wait to the very end for the final one. But there are 5 major reasons why they don't trust you. First, your business data and identity are confusing. How many of us have moved, changed your phone number? Yeah, I have a business number, and I'm just use my cell phone. I don't, oh, we moved home, it's at the residence. We have a P.O. box or a commercial mailbox. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're never going to get a dime if your business is posted up at a P.O. box or a commercial mailbox, okay? So they don't trust who you are. What the unsung tale that we don't hear about in 2008 is that they didn't talk about the massive losses in business lending, just like mortgages, but massive business lending. So, and they don't trust the paperwork anymore, because I'm talking about stated, they don't trust the paperwork, because you realize one of the huge things, this is educational purposes, entertainment purposes only. None of you are to do this. I'm swearing off, but I want to tell you that what used to happen is people would file a tax return for their business of $1 million, $2 million, and then they would go get a loan, and then they would amend the tax returns back down to their 100 grand. And guess who believes them? Because it was all paper-based, okay? And so what they did was they stopped believing the paperwork and started believing a couple of other things. So first of all, you got to sync up your business data. There are 21 databases. 21 databases that all have your data. And if they have different data, you are going to get denied. Period. And we don't know which one they're pinging with their software, okay? Another reason why they don't trust you. Again, I get to be the bearer of bad news. It's all fixable. It's super easy. But if your business has any of those words in this list, any of those words, you will not get a dime of unsecured funding, especially stated income. Because everyone, so you guys know about business codes? Behind your back, the Secretary of State people, when you filled out your application, they read your numbers, or they read your title, they read your business description, and then they went into a database of business codes and assigned you a business code behind your back. You didn't even know it. And what happens is, because the feds mandate that every state declare how much growth is in each sector. What's going on in construction? What's going on in finance? What's going on in daycare? Every business is classified with a number to see what the growth is. Problem is, until tonight, you didn't have any control over that number. You didn't even know it was possible to have a number, much less change it to fit funding. What's here, you guys, are what are called restricted industries. Okay. I know you guys might be a conservative crew, but it's the truth. Do you know what real estate investors, adult industry, and casinos have in common? You're all restricted industries, 100%. So, take that home. We have to make sure that you are not a strict, it doesn't mean you don't get to do real estate. You've got, even the phrase, there's a number of ways to skin a cat, right? You just have to set up a structure, very simple, very easy, but you gotta set up a structure that tells the Fed, tells the state, and tells lenders that you are a profit-making entity, and they don't care about your deals. They don't want to fund your, unless it's a secured real estate loan, they don't want to fund your deals. They want to fund the person who knows how to make a product. Does that make sense? If you were a lender and you knew you had your golden child of a customer and they just turned a profit every single time, would you give them more money or less money? That wasn't a very big. Would you give them, if you knew that they turned a profit every single time, would you give them more or less money? More money, right? How many of you are in private lending? Okay, got a couple. Do you have favorite clients who know how to just turn dollars for you? Absolutely. Do you give them more money? Yeah, the heads are going like this. All right, so next, we have to have true, real banking partnerships that are going to give us money. 9 out of 10 of you, 9.9 out of 10 of you, all picked up your bank because your family banked there, it was down the street, or a business partner was already banking there. You did not check to see if it was viable that they would give you money in exchange for your business, right? We don't know the questions to ask. We have a solve for that. So we've got to build the right banking relationships with people who are willing to give you money, okay? Haphazard use of your bank accounts. You guys, many of you are putting gajillions of dollars through checking accounts and you're not getting any credit from your bank because there is a process for doing so. And if you do it right, then you're literally triggering that FICO underwriting software like ding, 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 ding. I'll give you a quick, call him Tennessee Tom. Tennessee Tom was running 20 grand. He was in the Catskill Mountains. He had cabins and short-term rentals. Running about 20 grand. And he sat in a chair just like yours, became a client, says, I want that. And I said, all right, tell me your situation. 7 years he was at the same bank. 7 years. Didn't know anybody but the tellers. Tellers knew his name. Never met the branch manager. Never met anybody there who was a decision maker. Gentleman comes out. So we set up an account. Same bank. Set up a new account. Did it the right way. And I'll show you in a minute. We set it up the right way. Moved all those funds over. And in 90 days, remember that number, in 90 days, a gentleman came out of the manager's office, introduced himself, said, I'd like you to take you to lunch. At lunch, Tennessee Tom was told, I got an email from my system saying I should offer you $85,000 in credit, in a credit line. Now, is that an email we'd like to have on our behalf? Would that be all right? I mean, would that be something worthwhile? So the thing is that is the software looking at borrower behaviors, deposit behaviors, what we call traffic behaviors in your accounts, and literally setting, ding. How many of you have gotten from your bank, Wells Fargo was off, Chase is on. How many of you have gotten saying, you may qualify, but it's internal, it's not marketing, it's an internal thing. You may qualify for a business line of credit, $100,000. Okay, nobody's raising their hand. How would you like to get that one? There's one of us. How many of you? Because they do it. The software is designed because they're literally watching your accounts right now. They're watching your account. So if you're not at a lending bank, all banks don't lend to all types of borrowers, okay? Especially restricted industries. So we've got to use our bank accounts. Now, you may have a bad borrower profile. How many of you have looked at a credit report and seen half a dozen versions of your name, half a dozen addresses, even maybe a social security number or two? It's just an identity mess. We call it multiple identity syndrome. And when you have, if a lender, software-based, if they can't identify you, they won't lend to you. They don't know exactly who you are, they won't lend to you, okay? So some of us actually have late pays and things like that. There are ways to deal with every kind of delinquency or derogatory account. And then consumer borrower behaviors. This is the big one. I'm gonna go off book. You guys mind if I over deliver? Because this one, sometimes it needs parental supervision, but I'd love to give this one to you. Your borrower behaviors indicate how you treat money. And if they don't trust how you are treating other people's credit, they're not going to extend it yourself. But it's something we have 100% control over, right? So, if you guys would like, here's a free, it's a landmines book. Some of you may have opted into it. Get it. There are 8 funding landmines to watch out for, and we're only covering a couple of them, okay? So get that, because I want you guys to have the opportunity to, and just tell me where to send it, and that's going to help significantly, because right where you're sitting in a minefield. How we get out of it is going to determine how much money we have available to us, okay? Everybody got it? That's going to give you some of the borrower behavior. There are actually 40 of them. All right. See where it says deposits and overdraft? Now I'm sitting here with the gentleman who wrote the awesome note to the CEO. And this is about overdraft accounts. Don't raise your hand. How many of us have overdraft accounts on our? The problem is you think they're doing you a solid. It is a test for the bank to see how confident you are that your account will never be near zero. Because how you treat your money is how you're going to treat their money. And if we play, so our 0 is their 100% limit, okay? So I'm learning here exactly, so that's what we did with Tennessee Tom. No joke. Open up a new account with no overdraft protection. Now, this is what I meant by parental supervision. If the age, it is a credit line on your credit profile. If it is older than the average age of your accounts, don't close it without a process for doing so, because you don't want to lower your average age. That's also another FICO metric. But I'm telling you, any new account, deny. Tell them you don't want it, and then tell them, here's the other key, don't get the account, but then tell them to reject any transaction that goes below 0. Reject it. Don't pay it, and then say, hey, we paid it for you and charge you $35. Tell them to reject it, because that tells the bank, do you realize it takes 6 months to recover from an overdraft? 6 months. They're not going to touch you for 6 months, okay? Because going through 0 is horrible borrower behavior. It's consumer borrower behavior, and they don't want to lend to consumers. All right, so we have Did I get the last one? Oh yeah. So these borrower behaviors are, and the overdraft accounts. Don't open a new one. I'll give you an opportunity to be able to talk about come Tuesday. Come and talk to me on Tuesdays, free. I'll tell you some of the mechanics of how to measure the type of accounts and what to do about those overdraft accounts. Okay, so the six-figure credit line approvals path is the solution we created to counter all 5 of those things. Now, I'll share it with you in a minute, but I want you to know how we countered it, how we made it so that it really was a simple and easy path, right? And so the first thing is we optimize your business identity. We take all 21 of those databases and exactly get the same data reporting about your business. You put a stake in the ground about your business, and then you make sure everybody's reporting exactly the right data, okay? Then we establish profitable relationships with the right banks. We need banks that are going to lend to us. Why run money through an account that's not going to give you any money back? That's just, in my world, that's insane. Next, unlock FICO smart banking and application strategies. That's the baseline, what we call a baseline balance in your accounts. That is your triggered traffic that's going through the accounts, like Tennessee Tom did. We want to get those emails saying, offer this person money. And then we're going to minimize negative borrower, minimize the negative accounts on your profile, and optimize borrower behaviors to trigger those approvals. It is meticulous, but it is very simple to do, okay? So now that you can see, that's our end game, six-figure business credit line approval. So now you can see why the six-figure path is going to get you the results. Because the 5 things that are in the way get taken care of when you implement those 5 steps. So let me show you exactly how you get those approvals. You want some case studies about people, folks that have just killed it. And and unfortunately, I didn't even put Michelle's up here because I didn't ask her permission. So, but she's already spoken for herself, and you can ask her any question you like. So Aisha and Derek were stuck. She was in the armed services in Delaware. He was in North Carolina. The business was in Georgia, and their funding entity was in Wyoming. They had multiple banks, 3 different states, 4 different banks. Their identity was a mess, and so lenders didn't know who, what, where, when, and why. So they couldn't get a dime. Makes sense, right? They couldn't get a dime but these are real life situations, and they wanted to get full time into real estate. They wanted to get out of their W-2, but they couldn't get any leverage money, right? We put them through the FICO-based 6-figure system, so we make their business identity ready, their profitable banking relationships, unlock FICO, clean up their profile, and even if you have good credit, you likely have, don't raise your hands, how many of you have department store cards on your credit profile? Those are funding killers, you guys. Do you think for a second that Chase is going to give you a $100,000 business line of credit on your Nordstrom reputation? Not a chance. You know what an 800 plus credit score means? You get more of the same. If you've got a consumer profile, you'll get more consumer stuff. No one's gonna touch you in business lending. Because all right, she had mentioned it, so I might as well say, you know how your credit score actually works? There's what's called a denial threshold. The reason why, how many of you can't raise your hand, how many of you get offers in the mail from lenders, banks, credit cards, etc., right? Lots of hands this time. That means you're above their denial threshold. They buy lists of credit that is higher. They'll say, give me anything that's over 720. Let's use 720 as an example. Different banks have different thresholds. By the way, I learned all this. This is not magic. I learned all of this from FICO. 100% of it. I'm just the messenger, okay? But this stuff, I love geeking out on. You can't tell, but I really love geeking out on this. So, so what we end up doing, what did I just say? I got so excited. Thank you. All right, so we're in the mail, right? So, so if you're getting things in the mail, that means you're above the denial threshold. That just gets you in the stadium. It doesn't put you on the bench, much less get you in the game, much less give you the ball. If funding is the ball, you're nowhere near the ball. You got in the stadium to be considered, and then when you fill out the application, it's just a numbers game for them. And they just run your application. Guess what they're measuring? They don't give a hoot about your, it is the Midwest, right? They don't give a hoot about your credit score after you're in. They look at your 40 borrower behaviors. 40 borrower behaviors are measured, this is insane, for the preceding 24 months. A rolling 24 months. They're watching all of your account balances, they're watching your spending limits, they're watching how close to zero or how high, close to 100% you are. They measure all of that. 40 different things. And I'll give you an opportunity to see, to get, actually FICO provides 150, and then all banks get to pick anywhere between 38 and 42. So you get to pick your poisons that you measure for your particular borrowers. So the only time that your score comes into play after you got in the stadium is after you're approved. Your credit score has never approved you for anything, anywhere, ever in the future or in the past, period. Straight out of FICO's mouth. It is not responsible for approving you. Lender software, not FICO. FICO's a third party. They may provide the framework, but you guys, this is 100% FICO scoring your borrower behaviors, 40 of them. Then, it's in charge, once you're approved, it's in charge of rate, term, and amount. Whether you get 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, 200,000, that's where your score comes back into play, because it's a risk assessment. How much money, if they're approved, how much do we risk with that? So of course, score is important, but if you come to me on Tuesday or in anything else we do together, and you say, yeah, I got a 780, I'm gonna be like, what did I tell you? I don't care. I do not care what your credit score is. I don't, because it doesn't get you approved. I care about what gets you approved. Fair enough? Is it okay? All right. So in 180 days, they had a $580,000 unsecured real estate business credit line, $200,000 unsecured, no taxes, no financials, no income verification, and no doc. They got to leave their W-2 because they met the criteria that a bank needs to see. You guys can't fake. You know why Will Lansing, CEO of FICO, asked me about credit repair? Because that's a hack. You can't fake borrower behaviors. You either pay it on time or you don't. There's no faking. Here, I'm going to dodge them. You can't fake your borrower behaviors. And they are trustworthy, especially over 24 months. Are you kidding me? Okay? So, next one. Teresa was stuck. Oh, do we have audio? I can play it. All right. Or just give me a mic and I'll put it up to the speaker. Do we have a mic? Thank you very much. She was stuck because of her borrower behavior. She was putting, don't raise your hands. How many of you put business expenses on your personal credit card? Just don't raise your hands. That's insane. And yet, we didn't optimize our borrower profile so we can go get business credit that don't report to our personal, so you can carry the balances forever and not ding your personal profiles. Am I making sense? And yet, we do because we don't know. So I'm not credit shaming you guys. I'm saying we got sold a bill of goods that is not true. This is why Kim was saying, I've been studying and studying and studying a credit, and then all of a sudden, it was all wrong. Because it is wrong. Because nobody wants you to know what's happening on the inside. Okay? So, 6-figure system, and ran her through the process, and this is what she had to say. She's in Virginia. I'd say she's in Chicago. But
just a couple of things, and my score went up 30 points right away. And so within 6 months, my score went up over 100, and I was already in the 700s. So my score's perfect now. They all line up, and I was able to achieve, $500,000 unsecured line of credit my first time out of the gate with my first bank. So that really put me in a position to change the game that I'm executing to change my retirement strategy. And in fact, I actually used the line of credit recently for the first time, so it took me into a $1 million asset that I would not have been able to secure. And in fact, the bank, I was putting all the documentation together, and they called me and said, okay, we're done. And I said, don't you want the paperwork? And they said, no, your credit score is fine. In fact, it's unusually fine, so we're just going to give it to you. We don't need any more paper, and it'll be an unsecured line of credit. So, $500,000, please.
okay, you guys, how many of you would like to even have full doc ready, and they're like, I don't need the paperwork. Now, she was saying your credit score is fine. It's your credit profile. How would you like to have a profile that is unusually fine? Like, I have never seen a profile so well dialed to getting a yes in my life. That is what we do. That's what I absolutely love doing, okay? So, she ended up with $500,000 and got all $500 up front, because sometimes credit lines, guys, are like, they're like construction loans. You don't get all $1 million up front most of the time. You will get 200, they want you to do the foundation. They want to make sure you don't go to Vegas and put it all on red, okay? That's what they don't want. So they tease it out to you until you have the entire line. Same thing with credit lines. Some, depending on your borrower behaviors, you'll get the whole amount. You'll get 30% of it, 50% of it, 100% of it, okay? All right, so do we have that again? I'm going to do it a couple more times. Thank you. If we have a little more volume on that, that would be awesome. All right, so this is Robert, and he pivoted. How many of you trade, like markets, futures, anything else, or most of us real estate investors? He was an awesome real estate investor, and all of a sudden, when he got his approvals, he was like, I'm gonna start trading. I'm like, you get to do whatever you want. By the way, no one's looking, this is not hard money or private money. Nobody's looking over your shoulder. Nobody's asking you use of funds. Your borrower behaviors get you approved, so they trust you and your borrower behaviors. Am I making any sense at all? Yeah. They trust you. That's what we want, right? And so my last credit line, I wrote a check for my Jeep Grand Cherokee. Said, let's just buy one. Okay? So, because the rate was incredible. Prime plus 1%. Okay? Better than an auto loan. So, ran him through the system, and this is what he had to say.
Since starting with the program, my personal credit score has gone up over 150 points. One of the things that I was absolutely astonished by was how easy it was when I walked into the bank and just asked for a sizable line of credit, and it was the easiest application to fill out, and it was the least amount of hassle and interrogation. I provided absolutely no documentation, and I was able to 2 or 3 days later get, a confirmation that they had approved the lines of credit for both of them.
2 different banks.
I could not believe it, Merrill. I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there, the guy pops
Father's Day approved. That's awesome. That day that they pulled the credit, they use Experian. My Experian credit score that day was 848. So, there it is. It's like perfect.
When you have the credit scores matter in the amount of money you get, not diminishing the value of a credit score. I'm saying it doesn't matter until you know how to get approved. Fair enough? Yeah, so Robert goes through $50,000 upfront of $200,000 lines, and then $20,000 and $100,000 of 50 upfront. So in 4 months, he had 150 in cash available with another 150 coming down the pipe, which occurred over the course of 9 months for him. So 300 grand plus the business credit card. How many could use 300 grand in what you're doing right now? I mean, don't raise your hand unless it's real for you, right? All right, so this page is the most exciting or excitable because she started out, this works for everybody, you guys, whether you have good credit or bad credit. It's just timing. She wanted to invest in the long play because she knew that if she could improve her profile and start out literally at step 1, handle the metrics, the derogatories, the delinquencies on her profile. This is her in her own words.
Just don't hesitate. If you are considering working with Merrill and Get Fundable, there should not even be a slight hesitation. Just do it. Do it, do it, do it. My credit score, because of the crash of 2008, was literally in the toilet. I never thought I would be where I am today with an 824 credit score and more lines of credit than I know what to do with. My most recent line of credit and credit card that I received $100,000 unsecured line of credit and a $100,000 unsecured credit card. And that was just from one of the funding sources that I worked with. I ended up with an interest rate of prime plus 1.
So, you guys, and for those of you who actually, where we continue to relate, that Trillion Group is her funding entity. So she's all proud now, bearing it while she's doing her testimonial. So, 300,000, and the first 100,000 plus 100,000 credit card. So now from one bank, and that one happened when she was ready, 21 days to get that 200 grand. Okay, so and then I'll just quickly go through this. Dr. Jason, he's a medical practice optimizer. He's amazing at taking systems and helping practices grow, right? Well, he was doing what most of us do until we know better, carrying business balances on his personal cards, leveraging his credit card traffic. His cash flow was not keeping up with his growth. And so how many of us could grow faster if we had some elbow room on credit lines or anything like it, right? And what if it would prime plus 1%? What if it weren't hard money rates? I'm not against hard money. I'm not against private money, but why don't we backfill with really, really, really inexpensive money and have a long-term plan to grow our capital resources with institutional grade money, all right? Well, we'll put them through the process, and $100,000 secure line up front, increased it 60 days later, increased to 300, went to 380, commercial property, and he used all of those to put in he purchased with owner carryback a $2.5 million property with a lodge on it, and then they did long-term financing and bought out, and he paid off his lines. You guys, we all have skin in the game deals that we need, right? We now have the capability of having really inexpensive skin in the game. Well, this is him in front of his lodge with one of his doctor groups, and he has now become my personal physician, and we've become dear friends. Because he now he introduces his group of doctors to me to help them do exactly what I did for him. And then finally, the only gentleman to do more money than I did, he swore he would, he kept his word. He had a ton of personal properties on his personal profile. Fannie Freddie says you can have 10, but guess what? That's gonna kill your approval readiness, your ability to get bank money. So we rehashed all those things out and got him out of the restricted business and ran him through the system. $500,000 unsecured pledge credit line. You know what a pledge credit line is, guys? It's where you take the property name, address, and the county code, and you just put it on a list for a bank to say, this has been pledged, and we're gonna run it through our rehab mill, and then put another one in after it, sell this one, replenish, pledge the credit line, and just keep this machine of titles going through without formal mortgages. I arranged that. I was in that meeting with that banker to help him put together that deal. Because if they see that you are a competent and actually excellent real estate investor, they will get creative. It's currently was increased to $2 million, and then he has between credit lines and this pledge line 3.6 million. So he's $1 million over me. So he blew past my fundings. Okay? So, anybody learn anything tonight? Yeah. We on board? Okay, so this is super simple. It works for everybody depending on what you want in your personal credit life, what you want in your personal best rates in mortgages, etc. If you're unfundable now, if you can't get the bank, do you want to be that way next year and the year after that and the year after that? Right? There's ways to optimize so that you can get approved now. And for real estate investing, first of all, don't do credit card stacking. I get so many people coming to me for short-term 0% interest. If there's an offer for 0% interest, guys, it's not a business credit line, even if they use the word. You learned tonight, Capital One says it's a business credit card, and it's not. So if somebody says, I'm going to get you 0% financing in credit lines, that is a straight lie. Okay? Buyer beware. Every single, Teresa was a note buyer. That was the $1 million asset she got placed into. So, it works for anybody who implements the steps, no matter how long it takes. And this is what we're doing. This is what Kim asked me to bring to you guys. We need to find out how soon you can get approved for your $100K to $1 million. Wherever it is, it's never less than $100,000 approval. FICO software that I told you about, it's called SBSS, Small Business Scoring Service. It goes to $1 million. So what we're doing is August 29th from 9 to 3. It's in your packet. I'll be back here live and in person at the event space, and we are doing a credit line intensive. So, a credit line intensive it's an implementation intensive. You're not going to sit there and do what you did today, listening to me. There's going to be a little bit of talk and a whole lot of implementation, analyzing your personal and business credit profiles. How would you guys like to know the nuts and bolts? I mean, literally the nuts and bolts of how you're graded by lenders. We call it the bank underwriting scorecard because it's what lenders do to grade you. Let me walk you through it really quickly and we can get out of this very hot room. Okay, first of all, what you get, the morning session. Your personal borrower diagnostic scorecard. I can't go through tons of it, but it's a diagnostic analysis that literally grades you on lender strata, lender thresholds. And so what we're doing, we're going to look at your profile weaknesses, your profile strengths. We're going to look at your borrower the multiple identity disorder that you have and how to fix it. Notice this is 14. And this individual, some of you are in the 20s. You're supposed to have 5, one of each. Name, one version of your name, one address, one social security number, one date of birth, and one employer. And yet, look at it, okay? Next, we're gonna look at your FICO score summary. See these 18, 21, 43? If your profile has a spread between your highest and your lowest score of 20 or more, you are automatically unfundable. Because they don't know which bureau to trust, because there's 20 points being measured differently. So they're all graded. Amount of debt, this is the underwriting class. How many you get? So we're gonna go through your borrower behaviors, positive and negative, any derogatory listings, whether you're in a 24-month shadow or 48-month shadow. There's solutions to all of them, but we gotta find out where you are. You gotta find out where you are. Top tier profile integrity. Remember those department store cards? That keeps you out of the highest grades. And don't go closing them. Again, you're in the middle of a minefield. Don't just start playing soccer with your profile. So authorized users actually are in your way if you are the profile of the authorized user. So be very careful. Inquiry analysis. How many are available? Look at those inquiries. We tell you what the budgets are so that you can use without harming your score. And we see how you score currently. A revolving account portfolio. Do you have any high value cards? And what's in the way of it being a high value card? We go through, in the morning, we go through all of this. Here are the structures that we go through: account, average age, oldest account, newest account, tier 1s, tier 4s. This is what lenders are measuring. And if you don't know what it is and you go apply, we're gonna get denied. All right? So, developing your scorecard, just to buy that process with me is $14.94. The afternoon session, we do that's supposed to say business borrower diagnostic. These are the 9 areas. Take a picture, read that quickly, because we don't have time. We're going to go through your business funding entity selection, your business identity alignment, that's the business legitimacy, that's the 21 databases, business reporting reconciliation, banking relationship blueprint, institutional funding. Does this sound like a fun Saturday to you guys? I love this stuff. Personal borrower optimization, application approval strategies, and multi-bank leverage. That's how we get into multiple banks and get those approved. It's different with businesses, guys, than personal. Do you realize that a bank will watch how you use a credit line from one bank, a business credit line, and then determine whether or not they want to lend to you because they see awesome or horrible behaviors? Business banking will give you more money if they see you using it the right way. Something that protects them. And guess who happens to have I have software to show you how to use them. Okay? Then, $14.94 also for the afternoon session. Everything that you get. Now, you also get, if you register for the event by midnight tomorrow night, local time, you will also get this complete training arsenal. This is not a bonus pitch. I want you to study before the event, because if you know the language of lending before you come to the event, tell me, Michelle, is it easier talking to a banker when you speak their language?
It's so easy.
Okay? If you know, so I give you fast acting because I need you to have enough time to get it done. This comes in automatically if you are registered for the event by midnight tomorrow. And I can neither confirm nor deny that if you don't do that, there's a way to earn it back. So total value of $6,666, and it costs $197 to attend the full day. It starts at 9 a.m. at the Keller Williams, I believe. Yeah. Keller Williams on College. And so, take a picture of this, or not a picture, scan this, or it's approvals.com, MAREI-intensive. That is what gets you registered for the event. Now, I only have 50 slots because there is so much software and PDFs and everything. Bring your computers, but I can't handle more than 50 people. That's not a scarcity thing. I'm not selling you on scarcity. I'm saying, if you're gonna be there, we have work to do. And I wanna make sure that you get all of the value out of it that you possibly can. So that's that. The final thing that I wanna share with you is out of the mouth of David Smith, the business credit segment leader.
The metric where, 100% of the people, if they follow this plan, have gotten accepted for loans or loan products, lines, whatever. If you were at 75%, I would still say, hey, go use this guy, right? But you're not at 75%. You kind of cracked that nut. You figured, you've got the decoder ring and you're figuring this out.
He's referring to the number that we have in the last 9 months, we have 100% approvals for people who followed exactly what I indicated for them to do in their coaching process. It's 93% for those few people that went off the reservation.
Right. No, and again,
they went.
I'm buying at 93%. I'm buying at 85%. I'm buying at 75%. But no, you're far too accurate. You've cracked the nut. You listen to what the underwriters are telling your people, and you're putting that back into the system, and that feedback loop goes a long way.
Oh, man, yeah.
And Merrill's just a hound about collecting that stuff. What your customers, if you call them that, I don't know, clients, the ROI from what they're paying to what they're getting is ridiculous. They're not paying enough for your service. Seriously.
Especially at 197, guys. So, first of all, I want to acknowledge you guys have been super soldiers. Take a picture of this. It's on your paperwork. The date, time, and place. Plus the QR code is there. It's up here as well. You guys have been super soldiers because it is miserably hot in here, and the energy is just the energy. So don't let that get in the way of you guys taking a breath of fresh air. Come and join me and my partner Jessica will be here on the 29th. Come and let's make this a fundable seriously and get the cash. Okay? Thank you very much, you guys.